you guys listening to the hashtag IMOMSOHARD podcast? I'm a little fired up.
Yeah. Tell your friends. Kristen's fired up.
I'm fired up.
You can listen to it. It's so easy. Just Google IMOMSOHARD podcast and you will get 4,000 options.
Did you just tell someone to Google it?
I did. I put it.
You want to piss me off? Just have somebody say, hey, you should just Google it. And I'm like, hey, thanks. I never thought about that in this century.
You do that and the first thing that will come up is Spotify podcast.
Good, not porn.
Directly linked to us. I don't know.
IMOMSOHARD used to bring up something else, but that's when you put
it no
my
longer
mom is
does.
hard.
There's a lot of pornographers in the MILF space. They
jumped ship once we got in there. They were like, you've ruined it.
I think we're done with the MILF stuff. I think
that we should just assume everybody's a MILF. That's how I roll in. I'm like,
she's a mom that somebody would enjoy.
Right. She's a mom that would carry a chippy conversation. She's a mom that comes prepared or is a good time and has a nice disposition. I don't think I'm any of those things right now.
What happened?
Okay. I don't know if anybody else feels like this, but I see this happening a lot, especially in middle school. And now my son is going to be an 8th grader and my daughter is going into 6th grade.
Yeah.
And our little private school that Eleanor is it's a little cute, little quaint Catholic school that Eleanor is going to be a part of, requires summer school. And you want to know what's hard is when your daughter looks you square in the face and she's like, I have to go to summer school. And you have to look at her and go, it's going to be great. And in your head, you're like, I would have lost my mind if 5th grade summer going into 6th grade, somebody would have said, hey, you got to take math and English so that you have an easier time your 6th grade year. I would have been like, I'll roll the dice. I'll just have a shitty 6th grade year. I mean, what's 6th grade? Who cares anyway?
Just from the side, Delilah thinks it's total bullshit because she asked me today, what camps is Eleanor doing? And I go, well, to go into her middle school, she has to do this. And she was like, well, what for? I'm like, I go, I
Good
don't
question,
know. But
Delilah.
I think it's to just make sure she's on board with their style of doing things.
I
don't know.
I get it. I understand. I know. And on some level, I can party with it because she'll have made new friends as she goes into this new school. That is the selling point to me.
You know what it is? We know what it is. It's a Catholic school and they like pain.
They like... That's why I said, let's make them suffer. I told my mom that. I go, nothing like a Catholic school, just making everybody suffer a little bit. That's part of the curriculum. Right. And my mom was like, that has nothing to do with it. And I'm like,
summer's supposed to be fun. We'll have none of that.
We'll have none of that.
Study the catechism.
Yeah, let's go look at the Stations of the Cross. So Eleanor is not having a good time. And I understand. Also, I think if you're going to have summer school and you're selling it as like part summer camp, make it look more fun. It is school. And I feel so bad for her. Yeah. I really do. And I might cry a little bit, but that's okay. She texted me during the day and she's like, I'm sitting alone at lunch. And I'm
that's
like,
the worst. When you hear that's the worst.
You know, and then there's me and I am my mother's daughter. My first reaction is, well, you got to get up and go over and introduce yourself. You got to, it's scary, but you got to go try.
Yeah.
And she goes, Mom, I have tried. And then of course I start going, well then, how dare they? So then it gets me thinking, I'm like, well, where is somebody there to manage all of these kids in middle school? And that is the problem I have and what I got fired up before. Counselors in training, school teachers in middle school, the number one thing that you should be worried about is like social hierarchy because it is so important and everybody is looking at who the cool girl is, but nobody really knows themselves. So it's like the blind leading the blind. And I think that is when we should be the most careful. We should look at the kid that's sitting alone and make sure that they're sitting at a table. How hard is it to walk through and see a kid sitting alone and then walk up as an adult and be like, hey guys, I'm going to have everybody kind of jumble up today. We're going to have new people sit with different tables. Like it's 101. You're the adult. Like go do that. I would like... make middle school less sucky.
Whenever I'm up at the school, I always do that. But I mean, it is like, it should be the aides. Like at our school, it was always like the aides job, the like manager, manage lunch. And a lot of them, they do that kind of stuff. They go and check on kids that are by themselves or whatever. But it's like, you should be modeling and facilitating healthy socialization. Like,
right, because if
citizenship, really.
I agree. And if given the opportunity, I believe that most groups, adults or children, if given the opportunity, they will stick to their own group. So let's say you know people from the last school you were at. You're going to go over and sit with them because they're familiar. You're not going to be like, hey guys, I really enjoyed you K-6, but I'm going to venture out now and I'm going to make some new friends. You're just not going to do that. And there's a lot of schools that have, she's kind of an outlier right now. And it's really tough as a parent to hear about that. But I also think like human nature is that we're going to stick with our neighborhoods. We're going to stick, if you're an Italian in New York and you live in an Italian neighborhood, there are people from those neighborhoods that have never been outside of the walls of that neighborhood. So to ask a kid who is 11 to do anything different is really tough. And I think it should be facilitated by the school or the people that are there. So I went into the office today and I was like, talked to like 4 different people. And I was like, I don't want her to know I'm talking to you, but this shouldn't be something that a kid has to worry about. I'm so fired up over it and it's such my problem. God, it's like, but I think this is, if you really want to start talking about how to prevent bullying and how to foster new relationships, it takes the adults to scramble the pot a little bit, I think.
I tell my kids all the time, and this is me, and it like, I know where it's not good too. So, I mean, but I always say to my kids, if you see bullying, I mean, they have a whole spiel at their school. I love it. They do an anti-bully
it's
pledge.
An anti-bullying thing that needs to have more follow through.
But I always say to them, just don't let anybody be by themselves. If you see somebody being like made fun of or picked on, just go physically stand with them. If you don't know what to do or what to say, because it's scary. Just like be with people.
Eleanor is not being bullied. She is just sitting there unsure of herself. And what going to be 6th grader is like, you know what? I have everything figured out.
Oh my God.
You know what? I've seen my life in front of me. I am confident. All these changing parts, I'm so on board. Like puberty, I've got this. Like no one is doing that. They all feel weird. Ugh.
Dash did, I didn't know CIT was camper and
It's very big in California too. I don't know if it's a national thing, but being a CIT is a big deal. Finn is a CIT at his school right now, and it's literally designed to make it so there's like a cool kid on campus that knows everybody and makes everybody feel comfortable.
So Dash,
it's lovely.
Dash did it for Vacation Bible School, and which was last week.
Come on in, guys. Grab a tambourine. We're all going to sit around and talk about Jesus.
He was actually a game facilitator.
We're going to play Roblox in the spirit of the disciples.
It had nothing to do, none of that. It's not, I don't know what they did, but you know what? It was a really cost-effective camp. At any rate, they've done it forever. So he was like facilitated the games for the younger kids just to make sure like they're not fighting and like everybody's got a game and everybody's paired up with somebody. And he was the youngest because there were other campers that were like 7th grade.
Yeah.
And he's going into the 6th grade, but it depends on like what school you're at, kind of. So after like the 2nd or 3rd day, and I was like, how's it going? He's like, I don't think it's very fun, which isn't like him to say.
I don't know. It's kind of, that's the phase that we're in with my son. Everything's mid.
Yeah. Well, I go, well, what's the problem with it? He goes, oh, the older kids think I'm too immature. And I go, well, they're 7th graders. They're not mature.
Yeah, I hate to point
burst
out.
everybody's bubble, but nobody's mature. So I'm like, what do you do? And he's like, oh, when I joke around about stuff, they just kind of like roll their eyes. And I go, you know what, Dash? Some people are wet farts. I go, do you know what I mean by that? He's like, I think so. I'm like, yeah. They're just not very fun. Don't stop being you because they're wet farts. Like another Nebraska way of saying it is a turd in a punch bowl. They can come into a really great party and just turn everybody's noses, you know? So don't worry about it. Just be you.
Isn't that the truth? It's such an interesting observation now that I'm not in the disgusting pathway of middle school, and I haven't been for many, many years. But middle school is such a dumpster fire. But what's so interesting is the people that are the coolest are the ones who manage everybody, because nobody really wants to be looked at. They all want to be so the same that they sort of like morph into one. So the kid who has a more outgoing personality or is, likes to, is making jokes about something that isn't like the mainstream thing are outliers. And that will be the thing that makes that kid successful in life, is that they are the outlier, or they do think creatively, or they are a little different. But for the kid at hand, it's so hard for them because they're like, I just thought it was really funny. And so I made this joke. And then, the wet farts are like, we just don't want anyone to look at us. They're so boring is what I'm saying.
Totally.
They're so boring.
And they're so worried about being cool or
Exactly.
something.
They're so worried about being cool that they've uncooled themselves. They used to have color and now they're just fucking beige. And
100%.
I'm like, bro. And I say that to my daughter because I'm now totally immersed in the language. Bruh, bro, whatever. Is trying to, but it's so impossible to convince your kid that the thing that makes them so unique and awesome is worth leaning into. They're like, no, don't use those words about me.
God, it took to my late 30s to learn that the only thing that's interesting about you is your uniqueness. Don't hide it.
People used to call me weird all the time. They'd be like, God, you're weird. And I'm like, oh no. And now I'm like, I'm super weird. I love being weird. But that's hard in middle school. I knew middle school was awful for me. It was awful.
I told Dash, in that conversation, I said, just be a nerd. If people who are not fun think you're a nerd, that's kind of a compliment. Be a nerd. I've been a nerd my whole life. You can be that forever very happily.
Yeah. And enjoy success and monetary success and an advanced degree and a really pretty girlfriend and
all the things.
Being charming and getting along with everybody. And you're not going to just, be in some weird, boring beige lane all your life. You're going to go on trips and you're going to see stuff.
I also think it pays in spades, which I try and convince my kids this, but I really do think this was either an unhealthy reaction to my upbringing or just a thing I was born with because I remembered this as a kid. I'm not bothered by people generally. It takes a lot for me to be bothered by a person
real fast.
But I do think I'm blessed by that. It doesn't bother me.
You are blessed by that. You have a sense, and Colin does too, my husband. It's not, aloof is not the right word. I think you're easygoing. I think you're easygoing. And when someone is easygoing, you can observe that this person has idiosyncrasies that make them difficult, but they don't bug you. You're just that's just how they are. Whereas ironically, me with a bunch of those syncrasies can find someone really fucking irritating in 5 seconds and I can't let go.
But you'll notice them right away.
Yeah, and then I'm like,
oh, now I'm fixated on it.
Yeah, now I'm
and
fixated and I'm hyper fixated and it's all I can talk about and I keep repeating myself and I suck at a party. I know I'm weird.
That's what I'm trying to tell, Dash about these not fun kids at camp. I'm like, look, you don't even have to not like them because they're not fun. You just go, oh, that's how they are.
Yeah.
I'm different than that and both things are fine.
Exactly. But that kind of clarity is obviously somebody that's laid back has that kind of clarity, but also that clarity is maturity. And when I think I'm so connected to this age that when either of my kids are having any kind of a stumble, it really does it kind of tears open. I know it's weird and I find myself emotional really fast. I find myself defensive really fast. I can also get on my kids too quickly about what they're not doing. And my mom used to do that to me. Well, what are you doing to make them not like you? And so I was like, hey, way to get my back, sister. But now, because I love my daughter, but she can be a little bit of ennui, if you've seen Inside Out too, I'm like, God, I'm just putting the pieces together of what my kids are and who I am, Orange. And my daughter can be a little bit well, they looked at me weird, so I know they don't like me. And I'm like, they're as inward as you are. But I do find that there can be simple solutions at this precarious time. And sometimes I just don't think those things are being done. In particular, we went to a birthday party and I thought it sucked that the mom allowed for 2 people for the kids to pick each other at a party and couple up and not rotate those couples. So Eleanor felt a little bit excluded because these same girls kept choosing each other. And I was like, come on, mom, use a little common sense. Break up the groups or don't have groups. How about that? Oh God, I'm going to get in trouble.
It's called an icebreaker. Well, Delilah had a thing happen. Look, Nobody's ever, as much as I'm like, oh, here's how I think I handle this in my own life. I'm going to tell you, the other day, I saw my good friend dropping the kids off at camp, and she introduced me to somebody as her neighbor. And I was like, well, what the fuck? Are we not friends anymore? What? You call me your neighbor? How are you distancing yourself like that? I know I've like adult acne and I haven't showered and I look terrible, but we are.
This is a gal that I have driven next to, and sometimes I see at the school drop off.
This woman would come over
if your feelings and she calls you neighbor is so you. Jen is very laid back until there is some sort of exchange that would delineate that they are not tight friends.
It was a bad moment for me. I was totally fine, but afterwards I was like, you got to get it together emotionally, Smedley. Like, what is going on? And I know it's just like stress and stuff like that, but
listen, I talk to my kids and I usually have a little bit more of a level head. I think I'm premenstrual. And I'm not blaming it on that. I'm surprised by that.
I'm just shocked by that.
I'm real fired up. And I think when your kids hurt, you hurt. And also as a person with a little bit of common sense, I recognize that I can't control everything. And that makes me feel insane. I think with both of my kids, I'm like, look, man, you're not going to get invited to everything. You're not going to be best friends with everybody, but you're going to have really strong friendships with a few that are like tight to you that you have forever. And that's really good. I try to give them perspective on that, but I also can put myself in their place. And like, I am so lucky we are so lucky that we grew up without social media, because the idea that there would have been a party where people were taking pictures and posting them online, and I would see that there was a party again that I wasn't invited to.
Heartbreaking, yeah.
I would have been nothing but in my room. Like, I would have tried to set up with AI that I was at my own party and that like famous people were at my party.
No.
I would have ordered like a fake marriage certificate between me and Johnny Depp. I would have been like, you guys don't know, I have a boyfriend in Canada. I had a pretend boyfriend in Canada, but it would have been, I would have literally had like an AI boyfriend.
Our emotions have memory, but they don't always have logic. So
Ain't that the truth?
Seeing your kids like suffer, it ignites that tenfold in you, because you remember how it hurt you and you're like, ain't nobody gonna fucking hurt my baby.
Right. And you want to know what I've also observed?
What?
When it hurts your feelings and you kind of have perspective to say like, ooh, that one, this situation hurts my feelings more than normal. You look back in your own life and you're like, that's because I've been through this myself and I have a close memory of how it felt. But when the parent is a little bit like cold about it, I'm like, it's because you never had that. And I'll guarantee you're probably on the other end of it. Like if you're someone that can't connect to it emotionally, it's because you were dishing it out. And I know that that's not
empathize.
You can't empathize. It's because you were the person probably being a little bit of a bully. And I think that sounds harsh, but I've found it to be true that when you're compassionate and empathetic, it's because you've been down that road too. I still feel like I am very aware of people's feelings, because I'm not in the business of hurting anybody's feelings because we're having a party or because the kids are.
I post nothing because I don't.
If they're having a birthday party, it's with just a couple kids. I'm like, I don't need to hurt anybody's feelings, man.
Absolutely.
We don't need to be a part of that unnecessarily. I don't need to defend it, but I don't need to like spray it around, because my feelings still can get hurt.
100%.
I'm so unstable right now.
No, it's the reality. It's like everything in the universe that happens that's bad, it's like wrong day at the wrong time.
Yeah, and then it's always like a pile on. Like you're always like everything starts bad.
I said to Delilah about that, like she has to understand that you have friends who are good, close, tight friends who know you. Yeah. And then you have friends that are just you're friendly with. Yeah. You just, they're at school and sometimes you have a good time together. But like I go, so if Daddy or Mrs. Sweeney gives me a criticism, I probably have done something I need to like look at, you know, like they know me.
Or if Daddy has given me a criticism, I talk to Mrs. Sweeney and she
see
says
if it's right or
he
not.
was wrong.
Thank you. But it's like, I go, you can't, because I know that like she's going to get criticisms as a human learning friendship and learning life that are going to be legitimate. She's going to hurt people's feelings and do the wrong thing. And she needs to be able to like receive that information and go,
can you talk to my husband about this information too? I feel like
all of
of this.
Literally all of it. Because you do, like, it does hurt to get like a criticism. And like, I don't know if somebody at school doesn't like her because she did something, you know, or she said something bad to them. And I'm not like I'm not going to do the Terry two-step and say, what have you done to make them dislike you? But I want to know that, like, if you're being bossy, and she can be bossy, you need to take note of that. I
agree. And I will say that for the most part, when it comes to that stuff, like if Eleanor has a dust up with her friends, I kind of like gently back off and I'm like, let's see if these guys can
figure it out
on their own. But we also have like strict rules that she's not allowed to do like group chats and like all that stuff because everybody gets icy on chat, on text. You know, you're like, I'm going to figure out what I'm going to say. And then
big old keyboard balls.
Yeah. Big old keyboard balls is right. And I'm like, the hardest text you'll ever send is, I would rather not text this. Can we talk about it? And then if you're willing to send that text, then you probably got yourself a little situation you got to handle. But I do believe that I'm one of those people that will just talk about it because text messaging makes me insane and I don't read innuendo very well. But
you can just say okay and make somebody mad.
Yeah,
and
what am I
really
supposed to do with you?
Okay.
Okay, exclamation point. What do I do wrong? There's
exclamation point.
No, I'm not supposed
You're supposed to do exclamation
but
point.
not just okay.
Without, that's like,
well,
to
K
me,
is a fuck
I just
you.
read a question mark.
K is a fuck you.
K, word.
K means there's a call following.
Okay.
K?
Yeah, you can hear them like clicking their teeth when they send that K.
K. Yeah, you're like, thumbs up.
We'll see.
Not as big of a fuck you as K. I rarely thumb up you.
No, I do. A thumb up like on the text means I gotcha. I gotcha. I'm in a hurry or whatever. Like I read you
an
loud
exclamation
and clear.
point. I'm like, calm down. I'm driving.
Okay is I'm excited. Great. Okay, good. Let's do this.
Exclamation point is like nice.
Okay.
Nothing.
I just read as a question mark, but like, okay. And I also read it as there's something that's too much to text that we'll discuss later.
Got it.
Maybe. Is that wrong?
No, I'm listening so I do it right because I believe communication is key.
And sometimes can I call you is just this is too much to text.
If I
don't want you to read it wrong.
It's always because it's too much to text.
Yes. 100%.
You in particular, I'm like, I got 1,000 things going in my head. But if it's with a situation with my kids, I'm like, hey, do you have a second to chat? No big deal. Just want to have a quick combo. That's probably not a quick combo, and it is something that's a big deal. Read
that the correct way.
Read into that. You guys, motherhood's hard. There's so many. You know, I don't want a helicopter, but I don't want to be. My mom was excellent at this. My mom was very good at recognizing that I was having a really hard time. And so because she was a teacher, she had a lot of teachers that she could communicate with. So she would check on me. And she did that through high school. Like from middle school through high school, just would have teachers, you know, she'd be like, how's she doing in the halls? Is she okay? Like whatever. And then when I got on medicine, she's like, is she eating? Is she like, she would really check on me from the outside looking in. And I thought that was now I think about that, it's such a baller move.
Yeah.
So I went to the school office today with that in mind. Like I didn't go in hot. I was just like, hey man, this is a middle school. Ain't my only kid sitting alone. Let's how about we get a table for all the loners? That's the table I sat at. And these tables are literally round.
Hey, we're only allowed to use these tables today just to make sure that everybody squeezes in together.
Squeeze in or pick colors and everybody in one color sits at a table for a change.
Switch it up and that's how they get to know each other.
I mean, I think you have to do that when you team build in a business.
You do.
So why don't you do that in a school?
You got to do it with adults. It's even harder with kids who don't know the exact right way to.
You get look at me, I'm like, let me throw you under the bus. But you do get social anxiety. You get nervous at parties where you don't know people. And
the only way I get over it is I'm like, oh, there's another loner. I'm going to go up to that person and
those conversations are fun, you guys. Jen's like, I literally will meet 500 people, come back, and she's like, so where are you at in the stages of grief?
1,000%. And I'm like, I did see a meme, so I know I'm not alone, where somebody was like, I don't want to talk about the weather. I want to talk about what hurts you deeply. It's so me. I'm like,
you know what? I think that's women, and I think it's awesome. I think women have, I have to find this TikTok. There was a woman and she says something like, I'm undoubtedly straight, but my women are the most important relationships in my life. They are my intimates. And it was wonderful. She was like, I should be a lesbian, but I'm not. But my women are my intimates. I think women in general, and Eleanor's going to an all-girls school. So I believe all of this will come out being better. But right now I feel like girls and women in general like to chat and get to know each other. How easy is it just to mix up the groups so that there's more of that?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be that it's a punishment. It should be like, hey, we're going to be at this school together for the next 3 years. Let's get to know each other. Let's widen the net a little bit. And you're going to be comfortable with some people more than others, but there is no excuse for any kid sitting alone.
Well, Dash said a thing that I liked the other day because he's very much a creature of habit, and he's like, you know what, I got my friends. I don't need to really.
Jesus, creature of habit, or is he 72?
He's 72. He
like,
even
look,
said
we're gonna go to the Legion Club.
Like they can go to the middle school a week early and do these like half days to like learn the ropes and stuff like that.
He's like, I'm getting more PTO.
And he goes, I don't know if I'm going to do it. And I'm like, okay, well, what are the factors you're considering? He goes, well, what if my friends go? And I'm assuming he's going to say, then they're going to have this good time without me. He goes, they're going to know a lot more people going in that first week than I will. And then I'm going to like have to catch up to meet people, which I was like, oh, my brain didn't go there, you know?
Yeah.
And then he goes, I kind of like the idea of just getting thrown into it and learning it with everybody else, which I was like, okay,
feels like he's bullshitting you a little bit.
Oh, on that point, a little bit. But so, because I go, wouldn't you want to be ahead of the 8-ball on everything?
Yeah.
I go, also, not everybody's going to that. Let me tell you what I specifically remember about middle school is going in there, going, here's my classroom, like walking my entire schedule. And then that first day, there being 2,000 kids in the school and not being able to get to class on time.
Well, here's the other thing that I've never had to deal with that is a completely difficult component with schools in big cities is that I never went to a school where I didn't know literally everybody.
Yeah.
I started kindergarten and I graduated with those fuckers. Like
you're going to know mostly nobody.
I knew literally everybody. So that part was done.
Yeah.
So I knew everybody. And every year I was like, this is the year I go in and I'm like, new me. And then, my friends are like, nope, you're still you. And I'm like, God damn. But getting to my classes and all that stuff is overwhelming. But meeting new kids is really scary. Meeting new people is really scary.
Yeah.
How many moms do we get reaching out to us going, I moved to a new town that's really hard to meet people.
Oh,
it's so hard to put yourself out there. It's, I think, probably one of the hardest things. Like seeing a group of people sit together and you're like, hey, do you guys want to, can I slide in here? Is that cool? Oh, no, there's no room. Okay, I'll go sit over here.
Well, that was, here's the thing that Dash said. It wasn't his bullshit theories on why he wants to get an extra week of summer.
Is he saying he doesn't want to do it or he does want to do it?
He said he can't decide. I think the reasons he doesn't want to do it are like laziness, but he said he said these things in the same day. Not about going back to school. He goes, I really want to know the new kids that live next door. And I was like, oh, because there's a boy that's 1 year older than him and one that's a year younger than him. And these boys play so much soccer. They are gone they're on like travel soccer teams and stuff like that. And he's like, I really want to get to know them. And I was like, well, the easiest way to get to know somebody is you got to throw yourself out there and ask them to be a part of your life and they might say no.
Is that how you want him to do that? Because I feel like I'd like to give him a different setup.
Well, I said,
hi, I would like to be a part of your life. Nope, that's not what he meant. Mom told him to do it wrong.
There's
Mom,
a cooler.
She has a lot of gems and crystals and she's real feeling heavy.
That's not the wording I want him to use. I said, you're going to have to invite them over and they might say no because they're busy. I remember saying it and I was like, right now, that's what they feel like. And I think it was just they were busy.
Feelings are not real. What'd you say? Feelings are...
You have...
Feelings and then the truth, or logic and your feelings.
Your emotions have memory, but not logic.
Yeah.
But I said to him, I go, let's invite them to the 4th of July.
Yeah.
Because they can just come up. There'll be a lot of kids doing dumb things in the backyard. And maybe they'll say no, but maybe that's an easy way to get to know them in like an easy setting because there'll be a lot of other kids there. And like if it's not a love connection right away.
You give boys a ball, not to generalize, but it really is like, it makes it easy. Like bros love to just like get a ball, kick it around, throw a ball, throw it around.
You can give them a bunch of girls to terrorize and their friends right away.
Or you give them a bunch of girls and they're like, we can't talk to them. We got to be in a corner by ourselves.
It's going to be a mixed bag.
Let's go talk about the YouTube shorts we just watched.
Yeah. There's going to be a couple 8-year-old girls that will give them a run for their money.
Right, because they don't care.
They don't care.
And then those older boys are like, I'm confused.
The boys are going to hoard all of the legal fireworks that I pass out on the 4th of July. And I'm going to have to go yell at each one of them in their face and say, not all of those. You give some to the girls. Yeah. You can't just elbow your way to steal all of the, just like piñatas.
And then Dashiell's going to lean over and be like, can I be a part of your life? I would like you to be a part of my life.
That kid would never say that, by the way.
Can I be a part of your life? I'm going into 6th grade and I would like to be a part of your life. Do you know what my husband told Eleanor she needs to say? I always love listening to what a dad's perspective. I didn't say to
say that. I said that's the
Dashiell's going to be like, really? Is that how I start? I just go in and have feelings?
And I might have said, let's be
astrological
friends. I don't know. You know what? Everybody's got an astrological sign. You asshole, Kristin.
How the tides have turned.
It worked on you.
I know, right? Listen, I did hear Delilah one time. We were at a ballpark. This was the same game that my daughter decided that she didn't like softball and she decided to nap in the dugout. And you guys came to watch her play, which was so nice. You, Addison.
I remember.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And so Eleanor was like, I don't like this game and I'm done. So she just decides that she's out. But Delilah was there and she was like playing in the little area where all the siblings were or whatever. And she just looked at this little girl. And I bet Delilah was like 7. And she looks at this girl and she was like, do you want to play? And the girl was like, yeah. And Delilah's like, do you want to be my friend? And the little girl was like, yeah. And then guess what? They played and they were friends. It was like that. I feel like if we could kind of get back to those basics, even in adult life, it would probably be better. It's way less complicated.
That's because I do have social anxiety, and which Delilah and I think are very similar, actually. It's like an introverted extrovert or something, or extroverted introvert. I don't know. Where I'm like, I kind of don't calm down around people until I know them pretty well.
That's
like,
fair.
I clam up quite a bit. And then when I know them, you know too much about me. Like I'll never let you go in a very creepy way.
You're saying you get a little bit quiet, but you're still like present, but you're quiet. And then once people get to know you, you kind of come out of your shell.
Yeah. Take my shoes off and start dancing kind of deal.
I'm the opposite.
Nope. Well,
I just don't think there's a calm factor with me.
You know what? That's true. I do think I think you make friends really fast, but then you're getting really close to people might be slower.
I think that my husband would agree with that.
Okay.
That I tend to like sort of circle the party a bunch, but then I only will tell people like my vulnerable stuff, like either on a podcast or like one-on-one.
Yeah. But I go up, I told Delilah, since the time they were little, both Dash and Delilah, bring something they might be interested in. As an adult, that's conversation. With kids, it's always a toy, Just bring a thing because they like your toys better than their own toys, right?
Yeah.
So walk over and say, you want to play with these Barbies or whatever. And they'll usually say yes.
Dashiell's going to be like, I would like to have you be a part of my life.
What did Colin say to say then? What? I didn't say.
I brought my toy. It's a pound puppy.
That's the sentiment, Kristin. It's not the verbiage.
I have some other things that I brought. I brought them. I have my magic tricks that I brought. I'm studying magicianry.
Kristin's like, you want to do a shot out of between my boobs?
Accurate. Guess what? I have so many friends. Colin goes to Eleanor, and again, I think it's really fun to hear like a dad's perspective. And also, my husband is like you. He's a little bit like chill, easygoing. But how many times have you heard about frickin' what's his name? Jaron Wood, the one that got away, the friendship that always escaped him.
He loves that
it's
guy.
It's still like a sore subject. Like he is
hero worship.
I mean, it's crazy. Like he just kept giving to this friendship and not getting enough in return, and it's never left my husband's soul. He can't stop talking about him. But he said, Eleanor, this is what you got to do. You got to walk up to a group of girls. And I'm like this in my head going, nice try, dude. And he goes, do you know how much a polar bear weighs?
Oh, for crying out loud.
The girls go, no. And then Eleanor is supposed to say, enough to break the ice. Eleanor Sweeney here. And I go, Jesus.
Why don't you just put a bullseye on her back, Colin? What the hell? You might as well send her in saying, hey, you want to be a part of my life?
Yeah, you want to.
Jeez Louise, don't leave Colin and I in charge of making introductions.
She's getting such terrible advice from both of us. She's like, my mom is unhinged for no reason and making this feel like a much bigger deal. And my dad wants me to be a pharmaceutical rep. I have no one. And Aunt Jen is telling me to go in and ask her to be part of their life. Does anyone know how to work socially in this group?
No, nobody does. And also in life, nobody does. Because when I was a drug rep, I had a boss tell me, you know what? You need to learn to talk about sports. And I was like, you know what? I have no fucking desire to talk about.
Please let me be there.
I can talk vaguely about sports.
She can talk about the feelings you have when the sport doesn't work out.
I know the rules to the game. I know the technicalities. I don't have an opinion. And, the only reason I have done that is to extend an olive branch to my husband. But otherwise, I have no interest.
I do the same.
You know what I want to go in and talk to a doctor about?
Not sports.
Health, drugs, not sports.
Eyeliner. I'm not saying that's you. I'm saying like we should be able to talk about the things we want to talk about, not be prescribed the things that we're supposed to talk about.
That's what scares me. That's what scared me growing up, is that I wouldn't have something interesting to talk about, that I can't talk about. And now as an adult, I'm like, if literally all you can talk about is sports, we aren't going to be friends. And I'm okay with that.
Yes,
I will let that ship sail.
Yes, because you have learned through maturity that is a choice that you get to make about who you're hanging out with. And that person's a wet fart.
That's right.
I'm feeling like I'm in a better mood. Let's go to a mom box.
I'm sorry, I'm box. Okay, this is going to take a little bit of math. So a good friend of mine messaged me. Any funny thing happens in her life with her kids, anything, she's like, who's going to appreciate this? Jen. So she just knows the type of comedy that I love. So she said to me, my friend hired a cleaning person to clean out their rental house they just moved out of before the landlord walks through it, and it's not going well. So she sent me a screenshot, and this is what the screenshot her friend received from the house cleaner said. I'm so sorry, but I cannot stay any longer. I'm very sick. This is going to be way too much information, but you have to understand, I have messed my pants 7 times.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I can't go on like this. I feel nasty in so many ways, and I even puked once. I've gone on with the stomach bug before, but I can't with this one. Oh. I did bring my contractor to help me a bit, but he isn't the best cleaner. He says he's going to stay incomplete, but I know it won't be the best cleaning job. I did vacuum the carpets really well and prep for tomorrow. Is there a chance I could come back and finish up on Wednesday? And my text back was, oh my God, that's a lot of pants. And she responded, she just followed up with, if I had more pants, I would keep going. And I said, I respect her tenacity, but you need to know when you're beat. And my friend Megan said, I'm not sure if I'm more worried that she didn't have any more spare pants, or that she tried to keep going, or if this is such a common thing that she had 7 backup pants.
I was going to say, where did she have 7 pairs of pants to begin with? Also, I sort of want to say, first of all, the stomach flu's been going around and it's been awful and people are like crapping their brains out. But the other thing is like, is this one of those texts you send that's so graphic that you know the person won't even feel comfortable responding, and so you can get a 3-day weekend? You're like, I'm bleeding, it's through my pants, it's in my socks, my uterus is
if I make
on
it
the
bad
floor.
Enough, they won't question
they
it.
just
really, I'm
everyone's
just
like,
hungover.
good God. And then I like that your friend's like, that's a lot of pants. Not like, I'm so sorry to hear, oh my God, go take care. She's just
no,
like,
that was me.
oh, I thought, but she didn't say that to the...
No, she didn't. But
I thought you said she said that to the woman. I was like,
the cleaning woman said if I had more pants, I would keep going. I've never tried that fucking hard at anything in my life. Anything I've not tried that hard at in my life.
I'm trying to think if I could shit myself 7 times and keep going.
I mean, and my friend Megan, she goes, unless I was pulling children from a burning building.
I was just going to say.
I can't think of a thing I'd keep going at after having shit my pants. And same.
It's a real demoralizing moment when you crap your pants.
I respect the heck out of that woman because I don't care about any job
I don't know what I
much.
respect more, the fact that she endured through 7 pairs of pants or the fact that she sent that text message. Because in a million years, I would be like, it would be hard enough for me to be like, I am sick and I have to go. But to be like, let me just describe exactly what's happening to you to myself right now. I am shitting myself through 18 layers of pants.
I didn't crap my pants once.
Good thing I have clothes that need to go to the Goodwill in my trunk because I've blasted through 8 of them.
That could be. I mean, I didn't. That's
any more
the best
graphic.
I'm not twice.
Also,
not
on the
3
first
times.
one, I would have been
not
like
4 times, not
7
5 times.
But
not
on the
6
first
times.
one, I would have been like, oh God,
time to go,
because this is just the prequel. This isn't even the main event.
Yeah,
I just got a little dabble. Do ya? This will definitely go through a set of Western doors and be like, boo! Line them up, bartender.
Yeah.
All 7 pairs of pants.
I mean, that's a hardworking lady for you.
What we're saying is, I hope you feel better. Also,
and I hope to God she lets me put this in.
God, please. Okay.
No names except for Megan. Oh, let's go to a hot flash.
Okay.
Hot flash.
I forget to talk about this one, but I find him, look, there's hot flashes that we can be like, he's doing God's work. And then there's just ones where you're like straight up just gets the
he
kitty
can do
purring.
my work. Yeah.
You know, he can do Kristin's work. And that is 100% Tom Hardy. And I know he has this weird voice. I don't care. I thought he was sexy as hell's Bane and he wore a weird mask the whole time. He is such a filthy bastard. I know that he's the guy that fights in bars. I know he's probably the one that starts the fight.
I'm sorry. Are you trying to turn me on to him or off?
I just find him so attractive. And I'm sorry if I'm supposed to be coming into this with a little bit more like je ne sais quoi, but he's a filthy fucking hot man.
Okay. I will say I get him confused, number one, with Ed Hardy.
Nope, but I think he would wear that shirt.
Okay. Yeah.
A real tight one with like True Religions.
I also get him confused with Armie Hammer for some reason. Do they look alike? And also, I know what Armie Hammer did. I think he's still hot. I don't want to have him eat me, but read into that what you may. But
sorry, I'm just grinning as she says that because that's
I think he's cute. Like,
wait, are we talking about Tom Hardy?
Oh yeah, let's go back to Tom Hardy.
But you're saying that you think that I don't think anyone's saying that what's his name isn't attractive. I think they're saying that he just got weird.
He got repulsive.
He got repulsive
so
and like
hot that he got repulsive.
Didn't he ask to like eat a woman's toe?
Exactly.
Here's what I'm saying. Let's negotiate. I got a half of one that could probably go somewhere and not even mess up my step.
I think the grossest part was he was married with 2 young babies when it was happening.
That's always the thing. Like, look, whatever you do in your bedroom, as long as it's not hurting another person and you've got 2 consenting adults, not my business.
Well, I feel like you should go to a counselor who approves. Like, I think you're both on board with this toe thing. I'm going to stand aside.
Yeah. You're going to stand aside. Maybe a little lopsided after you or with Armie Hammer. I know you're not supposed to make jokes. I don't care. Tom Hardy, though, for me, he's like, it's exactly why he's in Bike Riders. It's because he's that guy. He's on a Harley.
But what's Bike Riders? Oh, it's about Harley. Okay.
But you know who else is in there that's really like a hot ticket right now? And I think I'm just too old is Austin Butler. Am I saying that right?
Yeah. I think that's right.
God, he's a doll. And he looks, I think he's like 26 years old. I know he is like a hot ticket right now, but I look at him and every time I look at him and I'm like, what a nice looking kid. But I don't feel like how I feel when I look at Tom Hardy where I'm like, just want to wear a tube top and get on the back of your bike.
Oh, a tube top. That's not safe, Kristin.
I'm trying to attract this guy. I got to bring out my best. And tube tops hide my back fat a little bit.
Let me tell you what it makes me want to do when I see him. Is if you really want to know what I want in a guy.
Are you talking about Austin
I'm
Butler?
Looking for a dream on a mean machine with hell in his eyes. I want a devil in skin and Tyler.
I really went full circle with Grease too. I used to not like it at all.
Really?
Then I watched it again during COVID and I was like, I love this.
It's great.
Michelle Pfeiffer is literally, it's upsetting how beautiful she is.
Are you kidding me?
And she's aging beautifully and she's cool. And like, I think I loved her on Grease too.
Yeah, I did too.
I was like, God, you have a really nice mouth. She has an interesting mouth.
Perfect. Yeah, she's got
perfect.
a little turn up to the. That's another hot flash is Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Aging beautifully too.
Aging beautifully. I think we circled the camp on this. I feel a lot better. Hey, Jen.
What?
Will you just be a part of my life? Would you be a part of my life?
Kristin, how much does a polar bear weigh? Enough to break the ice.
Woo!
Put her there.